as he flings one of those bells that now and then rings. Just one of those things. It was just one of those nights, just one of those fabulous flights, a trip to the moon on gossamer wings. Just one of those things. If we thought a bit of the end of it when we started painting the town, we'd have been aware that a love affair was too hot not to cool down. Goodbye to you and amen. He is hoping we'll meet now and then. It was great fun, but it was just one of those things. Started painting the town, would have been aware that a love affair was too hot not to cool down. So goodbye to you and amen. He is hoping we'll meet now and then. It was great fun, but it was just one of those great fun, but it was just one of those great fun, but it was just one of those things.
That is a fantastic sound of Lorna Reid. Good afternoon, Lorna.
Good afternoon, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing your music in. That was a Cole Porter track. Tell us a wee bit about that one.
We recorded that at the Sound Cafe out in Pennycook a few years ago now with local musicians. You could hear Colin Steele featured there on the trumpet.
Yeah.
And so we did an album of covers. And that, you know, one of my favourite tunes, one of those kind of wild, crazy nights that we all occasionally have.
Well, speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. I cannot comment. Now, tell us a wee bit about yourself, Lorna.
Yeah, well, I live in Edinburgh. I'm a gigging musician. I've been singing now, jazz, and I'm also doing more kind of crossover into blues and country and kind of pop stuff now as well. I'm a singer-songwriter, so although I've spent many years doing the jazz kind of things, and the last couple of years I've been doing more writing as well, so present some of that for you today.
Yeah, well, we're going to feature some of your tracks. We're going to feature some of your covers and some of your original stuff as well, so that we can let people hear the diverse range.
Oh yes.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Yes. Now, what got you into singing in the first place?
Well, I mean, I sang since I was at school. Always loved it, and any opportunity to leap up and sing, I always did it. And then also started playing guitar when I was at school. And as soon as I could put sort of three chords together, became the three-chord wonder. Was learning lots of everything from James Taylor to Carole King to Beatles tunes. So I think it was just always a love of singing, and so over the years, kind of came and went with it. But then, about 10 years ago, after I'd had my kids, I thought that's what I love doing, that's what I've got to do. So I just kind of got more into it at that point. So
it took you a while of doing it, in sort of progression. You did small bits and then decided, right, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to make this my life.
Well, that was it. I mean, I think when I was, I suppose, a kid at school, it was less kind of offered as a career option, if you like. You were kind of, I don't know, I just never really thought I could really kind of make my money or that was the sort of thing I would do. But then I just found over the years, as you say, I kind of dabbled in it here and there and kept at it. But at the end of the day, it was the thing that I really loved doing. Yeah. So I thought, no, I have to just go for this, and just whatever happens, it doesn't really matter. It's the love of it, and that's the main thing for me.
See, I differ from you slightly, because when I was at school, I wanted to learn, as you're saying, at school, it wasn't sort of put forward as a career in music. It was frowned upon, and I wanted to learn the clarinet. Sorry, I wanted to learn the saxophone, and the music teacher said, that's great, but you need to learn the clarinet first. So I thought, okay. And then he said, I was 14 years old, and he said, but you'll need to take singing lessons. And I said, no. The thought of going on the stage at 14-year-old, and then it changed when I was 16. So You know,
Right.
it's just mad. At school age, I didn't want to do it, and then as I got older, I did. But you wanted to do it right from an early age.
Yeah, I always wanted to do it, but I think that when I was younger, I suppose I was always kind of putting pressure on myself in a way. You know, I think when I was growing up, it was, you know, Top of the Pops was the big thing, and it was a bit like, oh, unless you were on Top of the Pops, you weren't going to make it. So I think I put too much pressure on myself, so it kept on putting me off. And I think that's often the thing about creativity. People can be a bit scared of it because they think unless, you know, everybody thinks it's great, that they shouldn't do it. Or I think when you're creative, you're kind of often opening yourself up to criticism. Everybody thinks that they're a critic, so they can tell you what they think. So when you're young, that can be quite off-putting. But then I think as I got older, I thought, actually, who am I doing this for? Actually, I'm doing it for me. And actually, if other people really enjoy it, that's a bonus. But then what I found over the years is that, well, people do enjoy it because they, you know, live music and creativity, it brings people together, you know, in a and everybody can have a good time, and you know, so, and you know, obviously people don't always like what I do, but I'm just less bothered about it now, you know.
Now, did you ever perform in front of the mirror with a hairbrush?
Look, I still do.
You could have fooled me. Sorry. Oh, the things that we say. But the first thing that comes to mind, sometimes I'm guilty of that. That, you know, as you're saying from the school age, I suppose, like anybody else, you were probably your own biggest critic, you know, to start with. You said about going on the Top of the Pops, and it was, you know, if you couldn't make on the Top of the Pops, it would have been the big failure. And you would be your own critic when you were younger, but then you decided, as you said, it's about me. It's about me enjoying it, rather than for the fame, should we say.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose what tends to happen is that people, maybe you get one or two bits of criticism. I also know my mum always wanted me to be a folk singer. And of course, I never really wanted to be a folk singer. Although, I mean, I love folk music, but for me in those days, it just didn't kind of sit, you know, with what I wanted to do. And, you know, I was always much more wanting to go into, maybe it was more Americana, maybe more bluesy. And I was always kind of drawn towards things that were kind of more, as I say, more bluesy and Americana. So I think that was the other thing. It was always that kind of tension between maybe what I wanted and what my mum wanted and what other people kind of were saying. So I suppose it's, you know, some people when they're younger, they do kind of find that resilience within themselves to know who they are and what they want. But I guess for some of us, it takes a bit longer, you know. And even then, you can still do a bit of the searching. But for me, that, you know, I think music's such a, you know, a great tapestry of, you know, opportunity, if that makes sense. So just... Yeah.
You put that in such an artistic way.
That's the artist.
Such an artistic way. It was lovely. I like that. Now, if anybody has a question for Lorna, you can email studio@blackdiamondfm.com, or you can give us a call 0131 663 4488. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about your songwriting. We're going to talk about your progression in songwriting, and we're going to play one of your original tracks as well, straight after a bit of the Baseballs.